I have watched a lot of anime this winter season, which goes from masterpieces to girls with dog fetishes. So as usual, I'm here to give my completely scientifically proven tier list so you don't have to suffer like I did. If you need an anime that will protect you from your wife's boyfriend, then Tomochan might be just right for you. Tomochan is a romance anime about a tomboy named Tomo who loves her childhood friend Junichiro, but Junichiro is a misogynist. Just kidding. Junichiro doesn't see Tomochan as a girl because he has always played with Tomochan as someone he really doesn't care about romantically. But as they got older, Tomo started to feel things for Junichiro, and Junichiro followed. Tomochan is an alright show for someone who just wants to watch a romance anime. B tier. If you're someone who has played Nier Automata video game, you know that it is really good. And as usual, I went in with crazy high expectations only to be disappointed. If this was any other show, I wouldn't be this harsh on it, but it's a Nier show and it's just not it. This adaptation is very poor, be that in storytelling or the visuals. The pre-rendered anime CGI is very bad compared to the video games, which is real-time rendered, and how they handled the story was disappointing. Also, I should mention the delays the show had due to COVID, which I think the studios have been overusing as an excuse, no offense. And that delay during the airing really put a lot of people off the show because every week you wait for a show only for it to get postponed. Studios should just take their time and ship a finished product instead of delaying it mid-season. C tier. The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten is the peak self-insert anime, and I'm sorry your neighbor is a 45-year-old man who eats KFC all day. Unlike Sheena, who will come over to your apartment to cook, clean, and let you sleep on her lap. This anime had me invested for the first couple of episodes because I liked the development they were having. But throughout the middle, it becomes extremely stale and there is zero progression in the plot. But if you push through a little more, you can actually watch a decent romance anime, just like 5,000 other ones you have already watched. B tier. Nagatoro was never an anime I looked forward to because for most part Nagatoro for me was an annoying character. Season 2 has definitely made Nagatoro a more enjoyable watch for me. Nagatoro is an anime where this girl called Nagatoro teases her senpai to the point that he fell in love with her, and vice versa. I still wouldn't watch Nagatoro if I had a choice to watch something else, but it was definitely a McDonald's on a street filled with Burger King. B tier. If you like cute and wholesome anime, I think this one definitely aces the competition this season. This anime is set in an alternate universe where it's not just humans that are alive, but people who are descended from a variety of spirits and gods. Now it may sound like a fantasy or an isekai anime, but it's not. It's just a simple wholesome romance anime set in an office. Himuro is someone descended from the ice spirits and he starts causing blizzards and snowstorms nearby whenever he feels nervous, angry, or happy. Himuro fell in love with Fuyutsuki, who represents the humans, and the only thing humans do when they're nervous is shit themselves, but trust me, it's a cute little anime. B tier. The Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and the Genius Young Lady. Now while that title was a mouthful, I assure you that this anime is an absolute banger, and I'm so glad that I watched it. The Magical Revolution is a fantasy anime with a set of very good characters, which is pretty rare for a fantasy anime these days. Anis is a princess born in a world where the nobles are able to use magic, but Anis can due to skill issue. Actually, it's not a skill issue, but she just can. So Anis started researching in magicology, which is a branch of magic where you mix magic and science to make magic accessible to even normal people. Seeing Anis and her assistant Yuffie, who she kidnapped to do research and also go for field testing, is very fun to watch. While Anis is an energy-filled extrovert, her assistant Yuffie just likes to drink tea and discuss about the social and political state of the world. Also, did I mention they're lesbians? A tier. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined thanks to the existence of Spy Classroom anime. No, this is not Spy Family or Assassination Classroom, but a weird shitty hybrid of both, and it sucks. Spy Classroom storytelling just doesn't exist because the story is in a random order and pace that you just don't understand anything that's happening. It's not telling a special story or a good story, and whatever they have put on the plate is clearly stinky spaghetti. D tier. I don't know how qualified I am to talk about Trigon, but seriously I don't care because Trigon Stampede was an alright show. Trigon Stampede is a complete 3D remake of the Trigon franchise, and as I haven't watched or read the original, I won't be able to compare them, but from what I watched here, I think it's a solid show. Now the 3D in this anime is one of the best when you look at other animes for sure, and most people do praise and are fine with that. But all these 3D animes are marginally inferior to anything that Pixar or DreamWorks does, or even any video game. Trigon definitely took the risk to do complete CGI, and I think they did good enough. I wouldn't say I was blown away by the story or whatever they have done, but it's still enjoyable, and I hope anime CGI gets better to the point that they can compete with Pixar and DreamWorks. B tier. I have already made a whole video about the human flesh anime and it hasn't got any better. It's a fantasy anime for people who enjoy fantasy anime. Yeah, the plot revolves around trust and loyalty, but they aren't going to Tahiti.
Where the hell is Tahiti?
If you ask me if it's worth watching, I would say absolutely not, just like 90% of the anime out there, but it's clearly your call and Ningen flushing might become your favorite anime. It definitely won't. D tier. Talking about this anime is clearly going to put me on a watch list, but sadly I have to make a video that includes watching goofy shit like this. This is an anime where the protagonist's big brain sister makes a formula that changes anyone into a loli. So as a loving sister, she obviously tested it on her brother, and this anime is the result of that. The anime certainly is not for me, and for some reason Studio Bind only accepts work that has borderline pedophilia in it. Yeah, Studio Bind is the same studio who made Mushoku Tensei, by the way. It's a decent anime to laugh at, but certainly not for everyone. C tier. This anime was actually a surprise to me because I never watched it thinking it would be good. The only reason I watched this was because the title sounded pretty badass and cool, and that's it. But the anime is genuinely pretty good. Revenger is a story about a samurai who accidentally kills his fiance's dad because he thought he was exporting opium, but that was just a trick played on him by his former clan to kill him. He then meets a group of assassins who kills for the church. The overall plot and story is interesting, and the characters are also pretty good. Actually, something that surprised me. B tier. I watched this anime because someone posted a couple of screenshots of this anime and it looks pretty good. But yeah, I can't say the same about the plot though. Sugar Apple Fairy Tale is a story about slavery. Yeah, I really think they should just drop the slavery trope from fantasy animes at this point. Because most of the time, they aren't really providing anything meaningful to the story, it's overused, and Sugar Apple Fairy Tale is no different. The story is a romance between a girl and her slave fairy, which is fucking stupid, and yeah, pretty much sums it up. C tier. Mao Ippan is K-On! But with judo, but they don't drink tea all day and actually practice judo. I think it's an anime which is fit for people who already know a thing or two about judo rather than someone who watches anime all day. So I really doubt this anime is ever going to reach its target audience. Unlike animes like Haikyuu or Blue Lock, it didn't feel like an anime that almost anyone can pick up and enjoy. There are some slice of life parts to the story for sure, but it's still extremely tied to judo, so I was really not enjoying it how it should have been. D tier. Now let's talk a little bit about peak fiction. Lin Saga, if you don't know already, is one of the greatest mangas of all time and my personal favorite manga. So I do have a very high expectation for this adaptation because season 1 of Lin Saga was a perfect adaptation to the beautiful manga, and I'm extremely happy to say that season 2's adaptation goes beyond the manga at some point, and it's god tier. Lin Saga is a story about Vikings and their history of war. Thorfinn, the main character, used to be in the battlefield since a very young age and has seen all the horrors of the battlefield and indulged in it himself. Season 2 is like a redemption arc for Thorfinn. If you find this season boring, I'm sorry to say that you have a monkey brain and you're incapable of appreciating good storytelling. S tier. If you thought Onimai was bad, then I'm sorry to report that Inukai-san blows it out of the water. Inukai-san is someone who wants to fuck dogs, and if that turns you on for some reason, then I'm sorry for telling you the existence of this piece of shit. Inukai-san really loves dogs, that she sucks dogs and also makes the dog suck her. I'm extremely sorry, but just don't watch it. D tier. Well, that's about it. I really appreciate you sticking around to hear me talk about anime, so yeah, well that's about it. See you later.